Okay.
Rig adjustment on the Etchel, we have various ways. This one is fairly low tech, but very effective, and I happen to like it a lot. So we have turnbuckles. In order to turn the turnbuckles, all we need to do is put a spanner onto the turnbuckle and turn it. And we can turn it and we can count the turns on. A whole turn, 360 degrees, is what we call a turn. We also have graduations, which means we can double check where we are with our rig settings. We don't have to hold the wire when we turn the bottle screw, because we have a little stainless steel widget that goes between the two wires, which means they can't rotate. So that means all we need to do to make the rig adjustment is put our spanner in and turn, and we have to turn clockwise. No, we don't. Sorry, I always get this wrong. We turn anti-clockwise to add tension, and we turn clockwise to take tension off. These little nuts here, we just wind them in afterwards. They lock off the bottle screws to make sure they don't rotate without us knowing about it. That can be very bad, in as much as the rig can adjust itself and we don't know where it is particularly. Even worst case scenario is that these things can rotate and they can come right out, and then the mast falls down. So that is obviously the end of the day.
And can you adjust this during a race?
You can adjust this anytime you like. So during a race is fine. And once on the spanner, you can adjust this going upwind on the windward side. You can obviously do the leeward side easily enough. Really important to keep a note of where you are. Really important to be really au fait with your rig settings in your matrix. Try and count the turns on, try and count them off. Try and write them down in your wet notes. It's easy to get lost with putting turns in the wrong way, so it's important to have an arrow on the deck to make sure you know which way is which. And at the end of the day, really important to go back to your rig with your loose gauge and make sure your rig is where you think it is, and if it's not where you think it is, have a post-mortem, get it back to your base settings, and just have that as a habit so that you always have your rig understood. And it's always nice at the end of the day when you've put turns on, taken turns off, adjusted for various conditions, but when you actually go back and think that you're back at a certain number, when you put your rig loose gauge on and you find that's where you are and the rig's straight, then that gives you just a nice feeling that you haven't made any mistakes with the rig.
And are there any other rig settings which you can alter during a race? Rather in between races, but during a race?
Other than that, the only other possible things we could adjust with our rig would be things like, I think there's a bit of messing about you can do with spreader settings. Obviously you have to take the mast down to that. Some people set their spreaders at 180, others might just have a small angle change with their spreaders, but I don't think that's a commonly changed thing.